Alrighty. If you visited Canada's Wonderland in the last 5 days, you might be asking yourself, why is Canada's Wonderland this busy? I was expecting busy, but not this busy. Well, you would be correct. Canada's Wonderland is experiencing some of its highest attendance numbers in a very long time, and you might be thinking it has a lot to do with their brand new roller coaster, Alpenfury. Well, Alpenfury is definitely contributing to a higher attendance number at Canada's Wonderland, but it is not the leading factor to the sudden burst in attendance numbers at Canada's Wonderland. In fact, the sleeper cell to the increasing number of visits that people are having at Canada's Wonderland is actually the new season pass sale that they dropped on the 15th. So for those of you that might not be aware, you might want to be, Canada's Wonderland dropped some of its lowest prices yet on season passes for the 2026 season. And on top of that amazing deal, you have access to use that 2026 season pass for the remainder of the 2025 season. And they've launched them essentially a whole month earlier than they typically do. So it's a huge amount of savings that a family, for example, could be having at Canada's Wonderland. Well, let's go over some of the facts. So over here, we have the season pass sale, which dropped on July 15th, and we have the Alpenfury opening day, which was on July 12th. Very similar in date. But what really is starting to show the trends is after the season pass sale, we're seeing a large number of visitors start to increase. And I will say a lot of these visitors are families. Again, some of the biggest season pass base numbers come from families, households, 4 or more people. So what you're seeing here on the graph, this is from queue wait times. They have essentially these numbers that they guesstimate based off of the wait times across the entire park for all their rides. They do this for every park. And they have a 22% accuracy rate, so there is a large margin for error. So please keep that in mind when I'm reviewing these numbers, because they do estimate wait times and queue times and attendance levels based off of those queue times that the park provides. So again, there is margin for error, but if you visited the park in the last 5 days, you know it's gotten really busy. In fact, even on weekdays, it has remained busy compared to about 2 weeks ago when most rides were pretty much walk-on weekdays outside of the big 3. So with that in mind, Wonderland is definitely experiencing a huge increase in attendance. Again, as you can see on the screen before you, you actually see a drop. Now, I want to explain this drop because to those that might be looking at the screen, you might be going, oh, well, Alpenfury didn't really contribute to attendance. Remember, these numbers are based off of queue wait times. The majority of guests that entered the park on July 12th onward waited for Alpenfury. Alpenfury had about a 5.5-hour wait on opening day, which contributed to Leviathan having a significantly reduced queue line, as well as Behemoth and Yukon Striker and other rides in the park. That would equate to a drop. So that doesn't necessarily mean the park wasn't as busy and that there was a drop in attendance. I'm going to guess that it was pretty level with what you see there, if not slightly higher, trending upwards to those higher levels. Now, the season pass sale, which happened on July 15th, or later in the day, July 14th, the majority of families and people who chose not to buy a season pass for this year or just couldn't work it into the budget were presented with a very hard to decline offer by Canada's Wonderland for a significantly reduced cost season pass. So for a family of 4, that's a really good price that Wonderland has offered. To be honest, Wonderland deserves a lot of credit. Obviously, it's to help grow sales. They're not doing this to be to be heroes here, but they have dropped the prices significantly. So for a family, this is a significant deal. So we're seeing a lot of families who might be a little more bored halfway through summer now, looking for things to do, see that and purchasing these season passes, as well as, the individual worker. There could be some adults and young adults and teenagers in here that might be picking up that deal as well. But as you can see, from July 15th onward, the numbers just grew and grew and grew. We started to get videos on that Facebook group of queue lines to get into even just the security area of the front gate, stretching all the way back towards past flight deck through the parking lot towards Behemoth, like the COVID eras, if you remember. So a significant increase in attendance. Wonderland has now adjusted and reflexed to better handle the crowd. So you're not going to experience that every day now. You might still experience it on a Saturday morning or afternoon getting into the park, but Wonderland has flexed and they are handling the crowds a lot better. So if you've been worried about that, don't. They've definitely handled it a lot better. But I will say the park is busier. Expect larger crowds. Fast lane wait times are up. Just the redemption line to get your fast lane and any add-ons that you might be buying for the day is significant as well. But to give Wonderland credit, if you see a full line at the redemption center at front gate, don't panic. It moves very quick. And I'm not even just saying that. It actually does. I waited in a half full queue line and it took me only about 5 minutes to get up. So don't let the line fool you. It looks scarier than it is. Remember, they're just scanning and applying a wristband for the average person. And if you go first thing in the morning, they have like 15 people working. So don't panic. But on top of that, I just wanted to make this video because I wanted to explain to all of you, you are not crazy. Wonderland is definitely getting busier. The charts don't lie. Our own eyes in the park don't lie. And this is going to remain the case until the end of summer. It might not be as strong as, what we just experienced that first weekend after those season pass sales dropped. But we are noticing a trend sticking around even on weekdays. We're seeing rides like Wild Beast with full queues, Dragonfire with full queues, and Leviathan having a full queue again. Whereas when Alpine Fury first opened, we all saw it, Leviathan had next to no wait. So the season pass sale has saved Wonderland. And for those of you that might know, I don't talk about it on my channel a lot. I talk about it on my Patreon channel a lot. That Wonderland actually lost its title for most attended seasonal theme park last year during the 2024 season. And it's been on a downward spiral, and even the beginning of this season, it was on a huge downward spiral. So if trends kept continuing, I fully suspect that Wonderland was trending towards being, fourth or fifth most attended seasonal theme park for the 2025 season. But I do strongly believe that Six Flags and Wonderland's higher execs made the right decision in dropping these season passes and offered a great deal for people that live in the area. And now their attendance is probably going to maybe even go back up to number 1 again. But we'll have to wait and see. Cedar Point's a heavy contender for the 2025 season. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully this video interested you. I wanted to bring it out here and go into details. And thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a good one. Bye.